Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Mayerson from joyandsuccess.com. And I am with today a really fun business. I'm excited about this. Naima Blasco. Um, and she has a concierge company. And I know, like, you guys probably are like Maine thinking, well, a concierge at a hotel, you get show tickets and theater tickets, and they'll let you know where you are, but what to do in the town. But she's got really an interesting thing that I want to hire her. So welcome to for being here.
Hello, Barbara. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. Well, like, yeah, I love what you do. I mean, as you were saying, like, we all need a concierge in our own lives. And but I want to take you back and get you started. Just let people know how you got started and what the challenges were for you to get started. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, how you're asking me that I couldn't understand. Well, you said how I got started.
how you got started, like how you got this idea of what to do, that you wanted to do this kind of business, and
Mm-hmm.
then how did you begin to make it happen?
Okay. So I am from Spain originally, and I've been in LA for 20 years. In October, it's going to be. And so when I moved here 20 years ago, I realized that everyone was very busy all the time. And for a Spaniard or a European in general, it's a little strange, that the weekend comes and you stay busy, right? Instead of enjoying life. And so because I'm from there, because my mom really reinforced the idea of enjoying life, um, I thought, I want to do something different, and I want to help people have more time because this is really sad seeing everybody busy, stressed out, running all the time. So it wasn't 20 years ago that I came up with the idea, but it's when I started to observe the society in our city. And so I was working in different industries for a few years, and I was doing some personal assistant work, one here, one there, like, little jobs. But I never thought that this could be a career, right? And so it was only about 4 years, 4 years ago, January, 4 years ago, it's when I was looking for work as a personal assistant. But first, I was going to agencies, right? Kind of knocking on the door. But that wasn't happening. Like they weren't calling back and all of that. So finally, one of them did. And then I did a job for a client in Malibu. And I remember that day after we finished the job, I went back in my car. And I remember Barbara perfectly. I put my hands in the steering wheel and I had this thought, right? Or this feeling or this voice, whatever you want to call it. That's, and I thought to myself, I can do this alone. I don't need an agency, right? And the next day, sure enough, I started to set up a plan, to set up all the ideas of how I wanted to run this company, what I wanted to do with it, what the impact was going to be in our community. And here we are, 4 years later. In June is going to be when I launched the company. And it's growing and going really well because there is a big need for people to have somebody to help. We just can't keep going with this rhythm that we are living between work or business, family, the house. It's just so much.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, people are doing a million things, and they could use somebody to help them take care of stuff that they have to do, but they don't have the time, or they don't want to do it, and they get more frustrated and stressed out. So you coming along and doing that, and I know, like I was just telling you that somebody was
Exactly.
on an Apple line for 3 hours working on his phone, or trying to get his phone fixed, and he couldn't. He finally got it done, but that was something that you would do for him. And I know you've talked about, like,
Yeah.
doing things
Hmm.
for um, uh, going to the cleaners for people and doing all kinds of things that people don't really think of the concierge to do. And so did it
Hmm.
grow? How did it grow into what did you first start doing for people? And it,
So I mean, I don't know if it happened to you, but it happened to me. I had never been a business owner before. So I did all the things that I had to do, right? And then where are the clients, right? The clients weren't coming. And so you're trying to figure out how to do this, right? So it took some time also because I was very specific in my plan about the person that I wanted to work with, right? The type of client that I wanted to have. But I was like, okay, if it's got to take longer because, I have this person in my mind, so be it. And so the first person that hired me was to manage her property. And so it was one thing that I had done in the past, but again, not that much. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And so that was the beginning. And then every client, as you can imagine, is different. Everyone has different needs. And so we have clients that are out of Los Angeles and we manage the properties for them. But the main goal of the company was always to save time for people so they could enjoy their life. So most of our clients, what they have is a long to-do list. So when we get to their homes, they hand us this to-do list and we just go thing by thing and we check, 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 check. And so among that long list, maybe, and this is something that we do very, very much, is to find contractors and vendors because it's always, that is very time consuming and many people don't have the time to be researching for hours. And so the benefit also of having us help is not only that we do that for you, but we already have the contractors and we always hire the best of the best. So there you go. You're already saving time. So we're looking for, if we don't have somebody, we look for that person, right? But then we always present the client like three different proposals. And then ultimately, of course, the client chooses. But that's a very important task that we do for them. And then you name it, shopping, errands, again, property management. We take their cars to the dealership when it needs the oil change. You know it can take up to 4 or 5 hours, right? Waiting at their home for vendors because maybe they just moved and they need the internet company to come. And also they give you like from 10 to 2. And you're like, oh my God. So we go there and we do that. So we help with anything that you can imagine. The holidays, we help, with the gifts and we shop, we wrap, we deliver personally if that's their choice. Think about anything and we can probably do it.
And that's so exciting. And also, what also is so exciting, you don't have to be in Los Angeles. You can help people. I mean, obviously, you can't come to the purpose, help me here in New York physically, but if I needed a personal assistant or somebody to come and help clean up my apartment or looking for clients, like you could do all the legwork and then just say, I came up with
Right.
10 people that I think are great. You interview them and you make the final decision. But I know, like, even starting to look for people to interview, it's been a task, and to try to find people and to go through that. I could say, well, I want to interview people. This is the kind of people I want to interview. Go help me find people, and a lot of people will ignore me altogether or ignore you, but at least then you'll come up with who. Hey, I've had that happen, and so I think that it's exciting. It's really exciting to have that kind of thing because you think that, and I know without talking about price, I know we talked about it the other day, but it's not a crazy amount of money, and it's very reasonable for what you do. I mean, just to think of standing online for 3 hours, where you could be doing something else. So did you get to a point where,
Mhm.
well, I know you're growing and you want to find your own people to kind of help and do that. Is there anyone that you would say no to? Do you say no to any possible clients?
Do I know?
Do you say no to anybody?
No, I have an issue with that. No, I'm not saying no because I want to help. I feel like if they're reaching out, it's because they're at that moment where they're like, okay, enough is enough. I can't get enough. I can't keep doing this, right? And so I keep saying yes, and that's why I'm looking for one or two new personal concierge because the goal is to help as many people as we can. It's kind of like shaking the town and trying to make a difference and you know, like I said, helping people have a better time.
No,
That's the goal. And so,
but
you
for
know,
me, it sounds like such an interesting business. And I don't know, like our people might be looking for an interesting business to do. Um, like how did you started sending out at emails to get clients, like the first one? And how would somebody break into that? Because it sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
yeah, well, the way that people find, well, what I started to do to find clients was networking. That was the first thing. The moment I launched my company, I joined the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce because I thought, okay, what's the best way to find other professionals who are working with the same type of client that I'm looking for? And so it was through the chamber. But again, this is like everything else, right? It takes time. I mean, we can't expect to try one thing and it's gonna work the next day. It doesn't happen like that. So I've been networking with the chamber and other groups for 4 years now, and you start seeing the results afterwards. You know, it may take months, sometimes years, but you start establishing those relationships and clients come. But to tell you something really interesting, Barbara, it's happening something that I wasn't expecting because this is a very personal service. Think that our clients, they're handing us codes to alarms, you know, bank accounts in some cases. I mean, it's very confidential. We keep everything private, but at the same time, you know, it's like it's tricky. And so I always thought that our clients would be referred to us by somebody that already knew us. But well, Google, it's the way most people find us, Google and Yelp.
Wow.
And so I was working, of course, you know, that, you know, I built a website and I did all the things that I had to do, like I mentioned before, right? And so over time it happened. And so I do track every time someone calls, I ask, how did you find that? How did you find that? And it's like pretty much, I would say 80% it's through Google and Yelp.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, if
Yeah.
somebody does
Yeah.
not want to go into the concierge business, but what advice would you give somebody if they don't really know what they want to do? And you just got this idea and one day and it grew into this business. What advice would you give somebody who's kind of like, you know, I don't really know what I want to do, but this is, you know, I have these interests. Could you give any advice?
I'm sorry, Barbara, can you repeat? I couldn't.
We lost it. Like, what advice would you give somebody?
You're talking about people who want to do this?
No, well, we talked about that a little bit, but like just in general, if people are like, because you came from Spain, you came here from Spain, and you didn't have an idea of what to do, but you got this idea eventually, and like, what would you tell somebody if they're like,
Mhm.
they don't know what to do? You know, they have some interest in things, but they
Right.
don't know what to do. Like, what advice would you give them to try to figure out what they would like, what could be a nice business for them?
Right. Well, for my experience, it may take some time. I mean, it took me more than 40 years to find my thing, right? So one, I would say be patient. But you know, at the end of the day, Barbara, it's right there. It's
Mm-hmm.
right there. Like when I think about it now, I'm like, how didn't I see it before? How in the world didn't I see it? So what I would say to people, to you who are watching, is think about the things that you're good at. And something that I did, for example, was to ask the people who know me the most, like my parents, my siblings, best friends, hey, what am I good at?
Mm-hmm.
I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all came with their answers, and I was looking for a common denominator, right? And the one common denominator were the word two, but one of them, the winner was you love helping others. So now you know you have that piece of information. But I remember thinking, okay, great, I love helping others. What do I do with this, right? But then it's a matter of being present, of being aware, of paying attention, and one day it just comes. It just comes. But it's not looking for anywhere else. It's already within you. It's within you. It's just that it's, and I
Letting it out.
understand it's hard to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's there. You
Yeah.
just have to do more of personal work than any other thing just to figure it out. And then, then especially in this country, you can do anything that you want, you know, anything. I mean, if you look out there, some people are doing fascinating things that you're like, wow, how did this person come up with this idea? And it's brilliant, right? So, it's finding that in at some point it will come, and then just go for it. Because I do believe that once you find your thing, if you put a lot of work and effort, you're gonna succeed. It's hard, but if it's really your thing, you will keep moving forward and you will going and doing, anything
Mhm.
because you enjoy doing that.
And you coming from a different country, did you speak English when you came over? Did you
I'm
speak English?
sorry?
Did you speak English when you came from Spain?
I thought I did, but it was terrible. It was really bad. And what happened is that in Spain, we learned British. So I was more used to the British accent. And when I moved here, I couldn't understand American. I was like, what? Nothing. No, I mean, nothing. A little bit, but not that much. And so I thought they were understanding me, and I get them talking, but it was a mess. But it was a disaster. So I went to here. I don't know if you know, but in Beverly Hills, in the high school of Beverly Hills, they have a program. I don't know if they'll have it now. I would think so, but they have a program for foreigners. It's called ESL, English as a Second Language. So I started to go there, and then like 3 months after, I joined Santa Monica College because they also had a very intensive actually class, very similar. So I was in between the two places. The entire they're like, come on, let's go. And then yeah, and so and so that's how it happened. But in the beginning, I in terms of work and things like that, I had to do work with other people who weren't from here, so we would understand each other a little better. But it's really interesting when you move to a different country and you think you speak the language, but you don't, and everything else, right? Because everything is different. But yeah, it was. I look back now and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, I certainly admire you
Yeah.
coming from a different country and then coming to the States and then not only learning the language and speaking it really, really well, but then growing a business from that. That's really exciting. Well, it sounds like you have just an amazing way of an amazing work ethic. I know you're getting really busy and you're having a lot of things going on, and you take care of your clients, and you're looking for your own help right now to grow your business. And were there times that you wanted to, especially at the beginning when you didn't have clients, or was it frustrating? Did you want to give up, and what made you keep on going?
I never thought of giving up, and I didn't have clients for quite some time. But what happened, Barbara, is that I don't know why, but I always knew that it would work. I knew, I completely knew, I was super confident that this business would work. And I remember one day, I mentioned a little bit before, but I remember one day thinking, oh my God, it's taking so long for clients to, find us. But then I thought, okay, if it is because I'm looking for a particular type of client, I'd rather wait and have this amazing human being that I can work
Mhm.
with, right? Instead of, other people that are not ideal for me. And so I think that what kept me moving forward was faith, confidence that, I do trust in life. I do trust in the universe that whatever happens is for the best. And so, and now that I look back, I'm like, see, it happened again. Because at the end, it always happens the same way. You may go through, some hassle sometimes, that things happen, bad things, you think. And then time after you look back, you're like, oh my God, that was incredible, right? That happened or that happened. And I thought I was in this terrible place. But if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened later, which was fantastic. So that's what kept me going, and what keeps me going. And it's not only business; it's in every aspect of my life, personal, everything. Everything is just like. But it's true, I'm very, I am very persistent, and I'm very stubborn. And so I don't stop until I get there or I get what I'm looking for. So yeah.
That's great.
Um,
And your parents and your siblings, everybody was supportive of you? Did you have a lot of support?
yeah. My family has always been so supportive, especially my mom. My mom is very adventurous. And for example, when I moved here 20 years ago, everybody was like, oh my God, you're crazy. You're going to America. Um, but my mom was like, go, 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 and have fun. I was like, okay, mom.
And
But yeah, I always had their support. My father is a, yeah, my father, I didn't grow up with my father, but he is a business owner. I got to meet him later in life. And now I actually understand why I do certain things the way I do them, or why I'm such an entrepreneur. Because also my brother is the same, my sister is the same. So the three of us came out to be very entrepreneurial.
that's great.
But yeah, I did have the support of all of them and my close friends as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important,
Mhm.
having support. It's just like so critical to have some support, like doing it by yourself. I mean, you were doing it by yourself, but you had the support in the background. Did everybody come to America, or are they still on?
Exactly.
Is everybody still in Spain, or
Did
there?
everyone?
Is everybody still in?
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, everyone lives in Spain, except for a special, very special, supportive person that I have that I was gonna mention, which is my son.
Sure.
My son is 15 years old.
Oh,
He's the one family member that I have here, and I've always tried to get him involved in the business in a way, just to see how you can create something from nothing, right? And so it's gotten to a point where when I have calls with prospect clients and all of that, he's like, "Okay, mom, so what happened?" Like he gets very excited, and we have a board where I write down all these things. So he's always looking into where are we now in terms of the goal of the year and things like that. So that's a lot of support, but also at the same time, it serves us, or it serves me to teach him that, if one day he can create a business, he can totally do it as long as he works hard, right?
a great
So
example for him that you would probably love to have him come in the business and take it over someday. But if he doesn't and finds his own thing, but you're a great example of what to do and to find something. That's
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he ends up doing.
yeah, he's got a few years of life. He's
Yeah.
got a few years to think about it. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You're such an inspiration. You're an inspiration for me. I'm thinking that would be a fun thing to do just to help you. I know, like at one point, I was just walking dogs, and which that didn't last very long, but it was fun. It's like just helping out. They need help, and you walk their dogs, and you get nice money for
Hmm.
15 minutes or whatever it is, and you get the love and support of a little
Hmm.
dog. And I guess,
Right.
of course, at the beginning, like you're right, like choosing the right people, and then you're willing to do what they need to do. And I know, like, well, I had an example myself. Because I tried to get into it, do it too a few years ago, and I had one lovely client and a friend of my parents, and cleaning out her home, and we threw out a lot of stuff. She was lovely. Somebody else was, and maybe you've run into this, that she wanted me to do something with her paintings and catalog them or something. I had no idea what I was doing, and I got fired. So if somebody wants you to do something like that, that you don't feel you're qualified, do you tell them, or are they nice to you and saying, try it anyway, or how would that work?
It hasn't happened. There's this one thing. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or individual, or it may have to do with my career. I was in the entertainment industry before, and I was producing commercials and movies, and so this job that I actually do now, the concierge, sometimes it reminds me of that other one because in a way you have to make things happen no matter what. So you don't know it, you go and figure it out. It's not the end of the world. And I grew up in a house like that, but I don't think it was only my house because I talked to other friends of mine, and in my country, we are very used to, you know, when you don't know how to do something, you just figure it out. It's not the end of the world, you know, and you can. You have to put your attention and work, and you do it. And so up to this moment, um, I don't think there's been one moment where I had to say, you know what, I can't do this. There are things that I hadn't done before, right? But I did them because, you know, I don't know, you get creative and yeah.
I think it's
And it's exciting, you know, because when it's something that you haven't done before, it's a challenge, right? And you want to do it well. So yeah, we do it.
It reminds me of some of these. I love Hallmark movies, and I've listened to some of the actors, and they say, you know, that they had to learn how to play piano, or they had to learn how to go dancing or ice skating, and that seems to be their world. That they don't know how to do these things, but they want to be in the movie, so they learn how to do it. And I think it's fascinating that you do that, instead of so many people do the same humdrum thing every day, and they hate it, but they don't feel they they're they have confidence enough to go and do something else and to learn something new. And the fact that you've done that is and are continuing to do that and will continue to do that is so fascinating and exciting and motivating for people that are guys, you know, just you can do anything. You set your mind to it. Don't be like me and be fired from that one job that I had. Um, but it's really exciting that you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's very exciting, but also, you know what happens then that for me, when clients give you feedback, right? And they mention how important it was that that day you were there because, like one of my clients mentioned recently, the fact that you're here today, Naima, means that this weekend I will be able to hike. You know, I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
that was the goal, you know, that they would have more time to do the things that they love to do.
Right.
And that to me is more exciting than anything else,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. You're really
knowing and hearing them saying how this service is helping them have or live the life that they want, right? It's like, oh my God, yeah.
that's fascinating. Fascinating. Well, I love your story, and you're just a fun person anyway. And if anyone, wherever you are, international, anywhere in the United States, I'm here in New York, and I'm might be putting my order in soon. Anywhere that you are, how do they get in touch with you?
They can email me at Naima, and as Nancy, AIMA, at boutiqueconciergeservices.com. The name of my company is Boutique Concierge. So you can also go on the website, boutiqueconciergeservices.com.
Okay, okay, great. All right, so there you have it, people.
Mm-hmm.
Try the concierge business. It sounds like a great business, or hire her to do your own stuff, to do things that you don't want to do, or get inspired to find something else that you want to do. So thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.